Like most men trying to lose fat, you're training hard, eating well, and you're probably even hitting your protein numbers. Yet your lower belly fat is still there. And this isn't because you're lazy or your metabolism is broken, but it's because nobody's told you to think keeping your lower belly fat there has almost nothing to do with what happens in the gym. My name is Adam. I have a master's in performance nutrition, and I've helped over 200 men lose fat and keep it off. I can tell you, even though your lower belly fat is stubborn, it will have no choice but to go when you follow what I'm going to go through today. I just want to make it clear. I'm assuming you're already lifting consistently, eating roughly in a deficit, and getting a good amount of protein in. If none of that's in place, start there. But if that's dialed in and your lower belly fat still isn't moving, the problem usually isn't your program, it's the things that barely get talked about. So I went through a period in my late 20s doing double training sessions, early morning cardio and lifting in the evening. I thought more was better, but I was constantly tired, getting injured regularly and getting nowhere physically. I kept adding more work thinking that was the answer. It wasn't. I was just running on empty. And the research is pretty clear on this. People consistently sleeping under 6 hours gain nearly twice as much fat over time as those sleeping 7 to 8. And that's not a marginal difference. But it doesn't matter for your lower belly fat the way most influencers will sell it to you. When you're underslept and running on stress, hunger increases, judgment drops, and you move less without even noticing. Sessions that should push you feel harder than they are, so you back off. None of it feels dramatic, but just a slow, invisible drain on the deficit you're trying to hold on to. Ask yourself 3 things. What's my actual sleep average this week? I'm not talking about your sleep goal, but the real number. Then, how am I functioning outside of the gym? What's your energy level like and stuff like that? And does my training volume actually match my recovery right now? Practically, this might mean protecting a consistent sleep window most nights. It might mean pulling back your training volume when life's heavy rather than grinding through it and then unraveling your diet at the weekend as a result. For a lot of men, the lower belly fat is still there because the body never gets the recovery it needs to adapt to what's already been asked of it. Instead, your behaviors outside the gym drift. A client of mine, Richard, came to me frustrated. He was 42, had been training for years. He knew exactly what he should be eating. But like most men, his knowledge wasn't a problem. It was that he kept biscuits in the house for his kids, a drawer full of healthy snacks at his office desk, and a habit of eating in front of the TV at night with whatever was closest. And he had made good decisions most of the day, then the evenings would undo it. Like most men, he blamed his willpower and discipline, but I told him his environment was a problem, not him. And the research is consistent on this. You cannot override a badly designed environment through motivation indefinitely. At some point, tired and not paying attention, you'll do whatever requires the least effort. And the question isn't how do I get more motivated or disciplined? It's how do I make my default day slightly more fat loss friendly when I'm not paying attention? Honestly, the best thing you can do is to keep your trigger foods out of the house. If you want biscuits, make it a deliberate single serving out of the house decision and not something that just happens because the packet was within reach. Put protein sources and high volume foods at eye level in the fridge. Make those the easy option. Look at where movement can sit inside what you're already doing. Can you be standing during calls, walking somewhere slightly further, or using the stairs instead of the lift? We're not talking about training, just ways of keeping the body moving throughout the day. For the last bit of belly fat, you don't need more discipline. You need a life where the easy choice and the right choice are closer together. I remember a client, Michael, lost around 20 pounds in 3 months. He looked noticeably leaner, felt better than he had in years. But then life got busy. The work pressure, a couple of bad weeks, and he messaged me saying he felt like he was failing, but he hadn't gained anything. He had just stopped losing temporarily. But because it wasn't moving the way it had been, he was ready to throw the whole thing out. He nearly abandoned a process that was working because the timeline in his head didn't match reality. The research says aggressive timelines push people to aggressive deficits, which increase hunger and fatigue, usually end up abandoning the whole thing before any real progress is made, especially losing your lower belly fat. That's going to take time. The people who actually get lean and stay that way, the people who lose their lower belly fat, are not the ones who push the hardest. They're the ones who stayed consistent the longest. And the useful question isn't, will I lose this? It's, what does the person who generally has this sorted actually do every day? And it's protecting sleep most nights, having a consistent grocery routine, checking in on your numbers weekly, and looking at the trend rather than individual weigh-ins. The unglamorous habits. But the ones that keep showing up are the men who actually will get there. So when I worked in recruitment, I spent a period of time working almost entirely from home. This was before it was like a thing. No commute, no reason to leave the house most days. I was training 4 times a week and I thought I'd just covered it. But I started noticing my body composition drifting in the wrong direction, despite my training not changing. Now, when I actually looked at my step count, I was averaging under 3,000 steps a day. My training was fine, but everything around it had collapsed. Now, the research shows that as you diet, your body unconsciously starts moving less. You fidget less, sit more, you take a shorter route. The calorie difference between someone who resists that drift and someone who doesn't can run into hundreds of calories per day. And that's far more significant than a modest drop in your resting metabolic rate that people call metabolic adaptation. But that isn't the argument for adding cardio. It's an argument for not letting your body gradually power down between sessions. You want to set a realistic step target. If you're at 4,000, move towards 6, not 15. Then you want to break up extended sitting around every 45 minutes. Set an alarm, then move for like 5 to 10 minutes. Have your movement built into transitions you already have, like after meals or before calls or during calls. None of this is training, but it's keeping the body behaving like a body. Most of the focus during a fat loss phase is on the losing part. Almost none of it is on what comes after. That's exactly why most men end up back where they started. The research is clear. Weight regain is the central problem, not the initial loss. Yes, getting lean is the manageable part, but staying lean is where it all falls apart, usually because you never practiced it. For years, I treated fat loss as something intense and temporary, pushed hard, got somewhere, then relaxed and watched it drift back. I thought the regain meant there was something wrong with me genetically, or maybe I lacked discipline. But it didn't mean any of those. I just never built the habits and made the results stick. I was trying to maintain a result using the habits I'd never actually tested. Depending on how you feel and your timeline, you may want to spend a few weeks at maintenance calories every 12 weeks. Here you'll have the same habits, the same sleep, same movement, just more food. This gives you breathing room and lets you practice living at low weight before you're expected to do it permanently. Think of it as a rehearsal. And at the same time, you'll likely find a new lease of life to finish losing the rest of your belly fat. And remember, if you never practice maintenance, you'll always be one difficult month away from starting over. Okay, so a few months ago, I ran an experiment. I didn't weigh myself for like 3 months. I just ate whatever. I was up 6 pounds. Now imagine if I continued that for another 9 months. The research shows continuously frequent self-weighing is one of the few consistent predictors of staying lean long term. And this is not because the number tells you everything, but because regular contact with your own data changes how you respond to it. It also shows that rigid all or nothing tracking is associated with weight gain, weight regain even. But 60% consistent with a good habit, 13 out of 21 meals a week still produces meaningful progress. That matters if you've had an entire week fall apart just because of one bad meal. So weigh yourself daily or near on daily. Look at the weekly average, not the worst single number. Is it trending down? Is your waist gradually tightening? Are your strength numbers holding? When the trend stalls, look at your behaviors first, your movement, your sleep, what's happening around the times of day you tend to overeat before assuming something is broken. You're collecting information to help the future you make slightly better decisions. That's all it needs to be. The men who finally shift that lower belly fat aren't the ones who found a better program. They're the ones who fixed what was quietly working against them in the background. That's what this video was. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. And if you want to know what your minimum effective dose for training can be, watch this video next. I'll see you there.